I want to talk in this video about mental health and work-related stress because that's been really relevant to my life this year. And I also find that a lot of people in my peer circle really are dealing with a lot of work-related stress issues that is affecting their mental health. If you're new here, my name is Melly Dunn. I'm a design manager for a company in New York, and I make videos about just what it's like being a designer, and also I'm trying to transition to product design, so I'm documenting that journey here and there. I recently had to take a couple months where I just didn't grind at anything and just took like a step back and started to work on my mental health because of work-related stress. Over the years, there's been events here and there that have been happening both in my work life and in my personal life. I have been advancing my career in the company that I work for. In any company that I've worked for, I found the closer that you get to the top to have direct contact with an owner in some way, there is more stress that comes down on you. All of those stones that were stacked on top of each other, a thing at work happened and they all kind of tumbled down. I had to take a step back and really work on myself and kind of repair the damage that stress has been doing. I'm happy right now to be able to say that there has been significant improvements in my mental health, and especially like how stress has been affecting my mental health. To touch on also, like, I made some visual changes that really made me feel great about myself during that time. I got an undercut. I got it styled in the way that I can take like a comb and like flip this over if I need to be business, but I'm not being business right now. I feel really great about this haircut. It kind of really fits like my personality. Additionally, after the haircut, I got my nose pierced. Yeah, feeling really good about this. It was part of self-care that I did, and I feel great. My cat has decided to join us. He'll probably come in and out. They probably all will come in and out. So I think what happened with the work-related stress and why it got so out of control is part of the way that I grew up. And I'm discovering like a lot of this stuff. I'm seeing a therapist through BetterHelp. They're great. It's telehealth, which works for my schedule. I'd say it's been nice recently. It just feels like someone finally opened the curtains and let some light into these things that I haven't really been processing correctly. Growing up, and I think a lot of people in my generation have this, is that our parents were really fixated on work. Very much like you grind, you do what you need to do, you make your 9 to 5, you get your pension, you have a kid, you find a wife or a husband, you buy a house, you settle down, blah, 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 you retire, and then you go sit on a beach when you're old. While that mentality was great for them because their work structure and their economy molded to that, over the years, our economy that we now live in our 30s and our work structures that we have in our 30s do not fit that mold. It's like the piece is a little bit off, and work just doesn't provide for us in that way. I don't get a pension. Our hours are ridiculous. I work 9 to 6 with an hour lunch break on paper. However, the company that I work for, definitely the work volume is not molded to that strategy that they have. So a lot of my coworkers, and I used to included, skipped lunch, signed on early to work and stayed on late to work. Some work on the weekends, just trying to keep up with everything they have. And then there's like a very personal element from, you know, like the top that like comes down where it's like, we're all in this together, we're a family. And there's that in a lot of companies. And I feel like a lot of us that were like I don't want to say like we were bred this way, but like we had this vibe put into us that like we need to give our 100% to a company, advance, become a manager, and like everything will be taken care of. Not to piss and moan about like, you know, my bills and like woe is me. I'm just saying like grinding all, expecting a return that you're taking care of, it isn't really feasible anymore in the way that our economy and like the way like life is for us right now. I work a lot, but I don't get periodic raises. Like, we work a lot, like all of us. I'm not even saying me. Like, everyone on my team, like, they are beautiful. They're wonderful. A lot of them put their all, but we don't get periodic, like, raises determined on that. Most of us, we get a cost of living adjustment, but the cost of living adjustment barely covers, like, the price of, like, rent going up for the people in New York. So the mentality that our parents had, where it was great for them, it doesn't really translate into us anymore. And a lot of us are having to supplement our incomes from a job with side jobs. So we might work like 3 jobs. Like my fiance, he regularly boasts to people he has 3 jobs. He has his day job, he has a podcast he's running, and he does his actor work and sometimes like freelance set design in theater and stuff like that. And like with all that grinding, because we're told like we have to grind, we're not prioritizing our mental rest. We're not doing the things that we want to do necessarily. And we're like, we're gonna do it later on, like our parents did, but our parents didn't work as much as we did. So we're leading more to burnout. And I think that's why we see a lot of like videos and stuff online. It's just like, I'm so burnt out. Here's how to avoid burnout, blah, 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 burnout. And I fell into that trap, definitely. And it's taking me like working with my therapist and seeing it and starting to see things in new light. Like, for instance, when we had the baby, it got worse. And I definitely felt more responsible for my family as the person that makes more money in the household. And I felt more like urgency to not lose my job. And I also felt more urgency to find a new job because like I'm not happy at my current job. I don't want to work there. I want to pursue my passions. I want to pursue a field that has more worth in their employees. That led me to putting the hustle in overtime because it's like, you know, visions of like your child having no food kind of scares you. Visions of like losing your house because you lost your job like scares you. But I think I went a little too crazy with it, which led me to work stress really coming down on me. And working with my therapist, like I'm coming to realize, what does my son actually want? Does my son want me to be stressed out, but I'm able to take him out to restaurants? Or does my son want maybe we have to eat at home more often, however, I can take periodic breaks in the day and play with him? It sounds a little ridiculous saying it out loud and like maybe I should have known it, but I didn't. And I feel like there's a lot of other people like me that just, they don't think that way. They think the way that I did think about work and then they just like let it get carried out of the way. But if you're feeling that way, I'm sorry that you're going through that, but there is hope. You could see a therapist like I did, and you could work with your therapist on stress management, or you could just take a step back and really look at like what you're doing and what you hope to achieve in your life, and maybe there are adjustments you can make. Here are some adjustments I made with my relationship with work, and maybe they might help you. For one, my time on paper is 9 to 6, so my time I work is 9 to 6. I don't come on at like 7 in the morning. I don't stay on past 7 at night. If we get to 6 o'clock and there is a lot left to do, it is tomorrow work. And that took a lot for me working with the therapist to feel comfortable doing that. But it's like, what are they gonna really do to you at the end of the day? If you're doing everything you can do, it's not really a problem with you, it's a problem with their structure, and it's a problem with the amount of people they have to manage the amount of work that they have, and that's a them problem that they have to fix. It's not a me problem I have to fix. My lunch break is another thing that I worked with the therapist to adjust. Frequently, since I became a manager, I was not taking a lunch break. I was just working the entire time. I would, when I would get hungry, would get up and go get food from my fridge, or me and my partner would order something, but I would eat it while I'm working. And that's a very toxic thing to do to yourself because you're supposed to rest. I really worked for a couple weeks detaching from that. And yeah, it took a lot. I had to learn to silence my devices, because it's like my team's notifications, I can get on my watch, I can get on my phone, and I can get on my computer. So even if I walked away from my computer, it's still going off on my phone and still going off on my watch. So I just made a conscious decision to turn off the notifications on my mobile devices, put silence on my laptop, and just go do my hour for me. Started reading books on my lunch, started cooking on my lunch instead of just like ordering takeout, started maybe going outside for a walk or going to sit in my backyard once it warmed up a little bit. And it's been an improvement. Like, I don't feel as anxious. I'd say the final adjustment I made with my relationship to work and improving my work stress is I just didn't care anymore, which I kind of feel is kind of shitty to say, because it's like, if I'm taking the effort to do the job, I feel like I should care. But at the end of the day, it's not my company, I just work for them. And when I really took a step back, like, this job isn't ride or die kind of thing. There are other jobs. If I became unemployed tomorrow, I am sure I could find a job that makes money. It just might not be the job I want to do. I also know I'm a good designer, and I know that I will always be a good designer. I feel like it's another thing from growing up with boomer parents is like, you kind of learn that like you need to prove yourself in your employment, which is like a really weird thing. And I see that a lot. I see people competing with each other in like all the jobs I've ever had. People compete, they want to be the best one, but it doesn't really get you anything. Cause like, okay, so you're the best one, you get more work, you know, you don't really get more money. Nobody really is like, oh, congratulations, like you did so good. It's a lot of like, congratulations, this person did so good. The rest of the team, why can't you be like this person? At least that's what I've experienced in all of my like corporate level employments. Maybe somebody else has something different in their kind of employment that they've had in a corporate company, but that's just like been my experience. And kind of like separating myself from that was a little hard, because also like I'm in a design field, and design's a very personal thing. It's like it comes out of your cognitive function, and like when you're a designer, it's like your entire identity. So to be able to like turn off from design work and just not care is very hard, but I'm getting there with that. You know, I still really, really, really much want to transition my career into product design and be in the digital space. I really want to work in an entertainment company, I've come to realize. But you know, I just like, I don't need to prove myself at this job anymore, because I know what kind of designer I am. And I am working on accepting that. Like, I'm still a little like imposter syndrome with the kind of designer I am, but I'm getting there. So if you're struggling with work-related stress, and if anything I said resonated with you, it's cool. I always hope that I can help someone with these videos. And yeah, I took some time to myself to work on like my mental state, start really working on the work-related stress and other personal issues I've been having. So I did that, and now I'm gonna start coming back to doing this because I truly love creating and I love making video, and it's just a really fun hobby to have to kind of like cut up the monotony of my day. Yeah, if work-related stress is something you're dealing with, like, my advice is to start with considering pleasure activities and working on self-care. I struggled with that because, you know, the therapist was like, what do you do for self-care? I was like, the fuck is self-care, dude? Like, it is as simple as like drawing, reading a book. I definitely went a little crazy. Again, got my nose pierced, haircut. I recently spent too much time in New York and went a little crazy. Definitely got a little bit drunk, but I had a really good time doing shit with my kid that maybe made no sense. Like, I took him for a hike. But it's the little bits that help you feel like you, and you will get there. Also, if you want to consider therapy, I'm not sponsored, but I do recommend BetterHelp because the therapist I got matched with, I really clicked with. I am the kind of person that I don't like strangers and I don't like talking to strangers about my life. But me and that therapist are getting to pretty okay levels, so it's helping me. They also work great for chaotic schedules, and also it's telehealth, so I don't have to plan to go anywhere or put on pants, and that is always great. But I digress. It was good to talk to my camera again and see all of whoever is out there that will watch this. Thank you so much for watching. If you like videos about designers and people living a design life, please consider subscribing because that's the kind of content I make. If you really liked this video or found it helpful in any way, give it a thumbs up. I really enjoy that. And if you have anything that you want to say, leave it in the comments. I love talking to people. If you are maybe struggling with work-related stress issues, feel free to reach out and I'd love to talk to you. If you are in the tri-state area, have so much luck with this heat that we're having, and I will see you in the next one.